Oh, hey everybody. It's me, Face, Jared, whatever you'd like to call me. Here, let me just make sure. Alright. We're set. So, it's currently, as I'm talking, October 19th. Yeah, October 19th. And I have not done one of these in a while, so I'm like, okay. Let's talk about stuff. I guess now, because I just did it and I noticed it, we'll start with that. The word like. I say that so much. I don't know if it's like the texting generation or, what it is that makes a lot of the guys and girls do it now in my generation, where we say the word like a lot more than we should. Like, when, you're trying to think of, a situation. Yeah, you see that. That's what a lot of people do. And I've noticed it a lot whenever I do things where I have to listen to other people talk. I'm really self-conscious of how I talk and how I sound and everything. So, I always kind of notice the things I would always get self-conscious about. And one of the big things for me is like. So, yeah, my mouth is watery. ASMR. That's gross. So, what are we talking about now? I guess I can preface this with that my voice might be a little different. Probably sounds a little lower than normal. For the past week, I don't know what's been going on. Something in the air. I've been sick, and I'm getting over it now. My voice sounds so much better. I sounded like Filthy Frank for a while. But it's getting a lot better now, thankfully, because I was so sick of coughing every other second. I wanted to do one of the days, while I was sick, but I was coughing so much, and my throat sounded so awful, I just couldn't. And now that I'm here, I've completely forgot everything I wanted to talk about. So how's about that? Let's see what's going on in my life. Tomorrow is one of my good friend's birthdays, so I'm thinking about it, and I think it's going to be really fun. It's going to be a lot of people there that, I guess I know how to talk to most of them. I don't know, maybe I'm just nervous. I think of a gathering, and if there's more people than, two, and then I'm like, oh, fuck. So, I don't know, maybe I'm just a little nervous. I'm nervous that I won't be as funny. I think about that a lot, really. Because a lot of people that I know actually do comment, and they're like, oh, wow, Face, you're pretty funny. It's weird that most people call me Face. They call me funny. Or Jared, either one. I don't know, I have a tendency to be a little humorous, at times. I have a good sense of humor, I feel. But it's a very broad sense of humor. I can find a lot of things funny. But when I'm thinking about it and I'm trying to be funny, then it comes crashing down, of course. Because, I'm a nervous wreck a lot of the time. So, I'm not really that nervous anymore since I started taking medication and stuff. It's helped a lot with it, but, the stuff that isn't unnormal, is still around. It's normal to be a little nervous for certain things. That's just who I am, which took me a while to learn, but I'm here now, at least. I do get nervous when I'm talking to new people because, I want people to like me. I don't want to have any beef. I don't want anything to go bad. But, trying to tell myself if I can just talk like I normally would, things are going to go okay. But there's so many things that can go wrong in normal conversation when you think about it. It's so frustrating to start conversation with somebody you like, and they could like you back. Not in a way, you can just talk to them, you can be friends, and you just don't know how to get it started is all. That can be very frustrating at times, because you can, no matter what you do, it can end up awkward, because neither of you end up knowing what to say. You could, it could start something you can just say hi, and they're like, hi, how are you? And you're like, oh, I'm good. And then where do you go from there? What are you going to ask about? What if you're sitting in a classroom or something? I guess you could talk about the work or something, but that'll just probably lead to, hey, did you do the homework? And you're like, yeah. And it's like, oh, yeah, I did too. You're just kind of looking at each other now. You know, got that weird smile on, the nervous chuckle. Yep. See, that's what it's like. I don't like starting first conversations. First conversations are fucking stupid. I wish I could start every first conversation with just, hi, my name's Jared, what's good? And just have it not be awkward, you know? I don't want any awkward silence, because by the second conversation, if you guys actually are compatible, then you're talking fine, normally. But it's always that first conversation that just kind of messes with you, you know? I wish first conversations could be a lot easier. Why can't we just start first conversations with some simple finger guns or something, you know? You just give each other some finger guns and you're like, okay, we're homies now. It would make it a lot simpler than having to worry of what you're going to say or what do you talk about. Yeah, stuff like that. That can go a lot of ways too. Like a first date. Honestly, I think the first date's probably the worst date. Because, you know, you're both awkward, or, you know, maybe one of you is awkward, the other one's trying, but only one of you is really talking. Fuck that. I don't mean to curse a lot, but honestly, oh my god. When you're physically, you're trying your max, and the other person just won't budge, that's when, you know, it's hard to decipher when maybe they just don't like you, maybe you're being an asshole, or maybe they're just, you know, you need to just move on. You're better than that, really. Oh, excuse me. That was supposed to be a burp. I don't know what that was. I thought it was a sneeze. Oh, but yeah. Let's see what else was going on. Honestly, nothing much. You know what? No, I do have something I'd like to talk about. I did get into this a lot in my mind. The period after this happened. So, my school attempted to have something called a You Matter rally. Basically what it was like all week they were promoting, it's a suicide prevention thing, which honestly I think is great, you know, why not? That's a great thing to have put out there to make people, you know, less awkward about the topic, because it should be talked about. It happens every day. So, they were putting out these posters. They were really cheesy when you look at it. I mean, not a lot of people. I mean, I tried to look at it and be like, oh, that's nice. But it's really cheesy. They put on a bunch of these pillars as you walk through the hallways and stuff like, you matter, and don't let your wounds be your scars. You know, things like that. You know, it's nice when you really think about it, like if you take it seriously. But when it's just put up like that with no context, then it's kind of like, eh. Especially during Halloween. It's fucking Halloween's when you pick to do this. Nobody gives a shit. Everyone's like, oh, it's October. Oh, come on. Spooky. But, yeah, anyway, continuing. We had not a rally. It was like an assembly on a Thursday. A fucking Thursday, right? Why not just make it a Friday? It would have made the day go by quicker. But, anyway, that Thursday, it was yesterday, really, we went in, juniors and seniors went together to this, to the gym, and a bunch of people went up, like, counselors and stuff. They went up and they talked, and when I thought of this rally, and it was suicide prevention, right? When you advertise it as suicide prevention, you know, you're trying to bring out the fact that this exists, and we need to help, you need to help yourself, and get the help that you need, which was said. But in my opinion, you know, you could have had a different opinion on this. In my opinion, that rally was shit. They could have done so much better. You know, I mean, maybe it's just because I'm really passionate about this. I struggled with this. My sister struggled with this. Like, I know people that have struggled with this in my life. Maybe I'm just really passionate about it, but I almost felt a little fucking insulted, really, by the end of the rally. Just because it just put a bad taste in my mouth. You know, I mean, like, maybe they had good intentions about this, you know? The people that actually, like, ran it and stuff, I bet they had good intentions. They're good people. They didn't mean to offend anyone. But the way they did it, it was just so fucking lackluster. Everybody probably forgot about it or was making jokes afterwards. Which, during the rally, or the assembly, they were making jokes about it, because some of it was really cheesy. They played a 25-minute video on the screen where everyone has to look to the left. I mean, first off, what the fuck? Who wants to watch a 25-minute video of suicide prevention by actors who are probably 60 years old today and have no realization of what's going on today compared to then? It's just, you could have just played it in class. You could have just had every second period play that video. Honestly, that's basically what this rally was about. And just that idea itself is just so lackluster. They could have done so much more. They could have pulled in victims that have struggled with this other than one lady. What I did like is one lady did go up and she shared her story about how suicide runs in her family, and her and her sister committed suicide and she struggled with it. It was nice to see a down-to-earth moment like that. But that was immediately cut off with, okay guys, so we're gonna watch this video now. If they would have just focused more on stuff like that, that would have made the rally so much more heart-to-heart. You could actually feel it. You could feel anything, really. You could pay attention and understand what they're talking about. Because what it really came down to was, one of the points they made was, suicide runs in the family. You don't have to feel bad about it. I guess suicide and the whole feeling can run in the family from things like depression or anxiety. But they didn't capitalize on it. They just said that oh, it's okay. You don't need to worry about that anyway. They could have talked about it. And, they did give some resources like the suicide hotline. From personal experience, when I was at my worst thinking of death, I was nowhere near thinking of a suicide hotline. Not even close. So you could have thought of something a little more than just that. Let's see. They named some people at the school who are there to help, in which one of the ladies you go in to talk to, you have to be referred to her. You can't just walk in and, tell her who your name is, which is already challenging enough to walk in and ask. Because I don't think they realize walking in and asking the office ladies up at the front, I bet they're nice people at home, but at school and at their job, they're not very... You don't want to walk up and tell them, hi, I'm fucking depressed, let me talk to somebody, Those are the last people you want to talk to for something like that, because they're just going to be like, oh, okay. Well, let me get you situated. I was doing something, but okay. It takes away from it. They should have made it so that you could maybe, fill out you probably can fill out a counselor form and then see your counselor and tell them about it. They could, help you, which, is nice, but it's really difficult to do. And the whole setting of the office, at least for me, I know for a lot of people it's the same way. It's tough to go in there and do that, It's not a welcoming environment. It's school. It's not a welcoming environment. Really, they can try to make it as welcoming as they want, but in reality, it's never going to be easy to walk in and do something like that. So the environment it's already in doesn't make it any easier. I guess a side thing we'll talk about, it's not really... A lot of this, it's just my opinion. It's not really a big deal, whatever. I'm not going to sue. They have these little cards that they handed out for all the second period teachers, all third period, whichever one. These little cards that say, you matter. And on the back it has the suicide hotline number for you to keep on hand. Right? See, what I thought was funny about that was the card that says you matter. Not all the teachers handed those out. Only a select couple of classes really the teachers remembered or cared to pass those out. So, in reality, the message that they gave off was, those people matter. If you didn't get a card, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? And they wanted you to put it in your wallet or maybe keep it with you or something like that. It just seems so cheesy, maybe it came in handy for the one kid, and, if it can save one kid, then I'm all for it, But not every teacher, I feel like they didn't tell the teachers enough to hand these out. You know, like, because I know most teachers see this kind of thing through their emails. Not all teachers check their emails a lot. They could have, every Tuesday they do, like, a meeting with all the teachers. They could have told them about this. I mean, if they did, then, you know, it's on the teachers. But if they didn't, then, you know, that's on them. That's on the staff. Or whoever was running this. Let's see. During the assembly, that 25-long-minute video, the video was a bunch of different scenarios with a lot of slowed down time, and it basically, I wouldn't watch that, and I'm passionate about it. It was like cheesy, you know, like the kids are like, one of them says, "I feel like I'm better off dead," and one goes, whoa, don't say that. You know, like, it was so cheesy and just bad. It needs to be updated. They could have, you know what, instead of showing some old-ass video, they could have gone up there and actually had a heart-to-heart conversation with us about this, with people who have gone through this and want to help people, you know, given more resources, you know, like, fuck, why not have, like a little student group they could have made, you know? I mean, like, this is all just ideas, I wouldn't know how to do this, but they could have had, like, a little group of students you could go to talk to, people who struggled through the same things, in different situations, you know, people were comfortable to going up there. Because I know for a fucking fact, if they would have put out something like that, to go up and help join a group to talk to people who need the help that you've faced, I would have been all over that 100%. That would have been my jam. I would have been there in a heartbeat. You know? There were just so many other ways they could have gone about this. And I feel like the way they did it was just insulting, you know? Because they did focus on, like, depression can mess with your mood. You know, here's some ways it can, like anger or, you know, just being sad and a shut-in, you know, things like that, just not wanting to talk. Or, you know, they even stated sometimes it's in the people who you would least expect, the people who laugh all the time and talk to everybody. Okay, I guess some good points, you know? But what really pissed me off in my mind was thinking of how hypocritical some of those situations are. How, like, the fucking hypocrites those people are, can be sometimes. Sure, maybe there's laws that hold them back and they have to do certain things, but they wouldn't probably do anything about it, is the thing. They wouldn't try to help the person at all. You know? They wouldn't even be nice about it, probably. Was the thought of, you know, one of the kids in there, in my situation, I'll just explain mine. These three guys behind me, they were just being fucking assholes, you know. They were just talking the whole time, making really shitty jokes. This guy in front of me who, I mean, not being rude to him, he's the GOAT, but he, you know, he's not a good-looking guy. He's very nerdy, too. He's got a high-pitched voice. He turned around and he's like, "Guys, can you please be quiet?" And, like, 5 minutes later, the guys behind me are like, "Ooh, he told me to be quiet, I'm being bullied." You know, just being assholes, really. And even I, at some point, turned around and said, "Hey, I'm trying to watch the video, can you guys please be quiet?" And afterwards, they kept talking, you know, like, I was being nice. See, if I was how I was before, like, before the medication, and at a certain point when I'd get very angry a lot, what if I were to have been watching the video, and I was really passionate about it because I felt the same things that they're talking about, and it just made me happy. And these guys behind me are being, you know, like they are. If I were to have gotten just really overwhelmed with my depression and the anger went over me, and I turned around and fucking socked one of the guys, you know, like something, because I can speak from experience, that kind of anger can do stupid things to you, like, almost like in a blinding way, like, you just lose track of what you're doing, and then you blink, and you've seen what you've done. Sometimes it can be like that for some people, especially when you're passionate about it, and you've told them, "Can you please be quiet?" And they continue being assholes. Like, and at one point, he was messing with my friend, just, like, poking him in the back, which isn't a big deal, but it pissed me off, because I don't like my friends being messed with more than me. I was at my limit. If I were to have turned around and socked that guy because of my depression, and, like, their actions and the environment, then, you know, that we would have probably gotten into a fight. And, I don't know. They were kind of nerdy. He probably wouldn't fight me back. But he would have tried. And, the teachers would have come over and, split us up and stuff. We would have been suspended. And, they would have never, since I hit first, have taken my side. Because they would have seen me as the kid who just turned around and socked this guy. They wouldn't look at the context. They wouldn't even ask me, is this a side effect? Are you okay? Do you have depression? Or do you need to talk to somebody? They wouldn't. I can guarantee you 100% they would never turn around and ask them, are you okay? What was the cause of this? And, maybe if there was context, they'd still suspend me. Even for it. At the suicide prevention place, where they were telling us that these are things that we can get over and just need to talk about. You know how it feels like someone shit in my mouth thinking about that. How hypocritical it is. And it pulls me away from it, honestly. And I feel bad because I want to like this. I want this to be something that I can look at and be like, this is great. I'm really happy they're doing this. They're just not doing it in the best way possible that they could. Sadly enough, but it should be said, this probably won't save anyone. If there is a kid at our school who struggled as much as I had at one point and didn't have good family in his life, I have a really fucking good life. I got lucky. My role was really good. I have an amazing family who I love with all my heart. And that really is what founded me and stood me in place and kept me in this world. I have a great family. I have great friends. I was able to pull myself up. For the people who had the same feelings as I did and didn't have friends and didn't have family that cared, that little assembly wouldn't have changed anything, I can say. Maybe it would have brought a little inspiration, but not much. And that's honestly what takes me off a little bit. I don't know. All in all, in my opinion, was not done very well at all. But I am glad that schools are starting to try to push this, like this is a thing. This matters a lot. Especially in my generation, a lot of kids now are they just give up too easily, And I know it's hard. I had really, really bad depression. I know how fucking awful it could be. I remember my nights and days. I remember all the time of the days where I'd sit there in a motionless husk of a human, just empty inside. There was nothing there, except for the feeling of just wanting to die. I would go days where the only feeling I could feel was just wanting to die. Weekends were the worst, man. If I wasn't at my computer talking to somebody, I sat there and I'd get nervous. I'd start sweating a little bit, tapping my fucking feet, because I just felt alone, and I just felt the overwhelming feeling of wanting to die so much. And that's hard. That's really hard. And the thought of other people going through that kind of thing, it gets to me, Look, if you are going through that kind of thing, you have to talk to somebody. I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't talk to my dad. Or you know what? Really, if he didn't talk to me. He brought it to my attention, and, a lot of the time I can feel a lot of people they don't tell their parents because they're they wouldn't understand, My dad is a prime example of that. There are many, many things I don't talk to him about because I don't feel like he would understand at all. So, I completely understand that. But it's something you have to if you want to get better. Because when you're depressed, and people say that thing where it's
Well, you just have to talk to people, instead of just laying there. It's not that fucking easy, It's not easy to get up and talk to somebody. That could probably be the last thing on your list. You'd rather go skydive butt naked than fucking get up and talk to your parents about your depression. But it's serious. If not your parents, then somebody, school counselor, your friends. Have your friends refer to people for you. Have friends help you go into the counselor's office to talk about it. Get therapy. To me, I telling my parents was the best thing I've done in a while. It improved my life. And you shouldn't be embarrassed about that kind of thing, Like, I remember being a little embarrassed about it in some ways. And talking about it. It's not an embarrassing thing whatsoever. Especially like taking medication for it. That's the least embarrassing thing I would have thought of. And I remember the therapist I saw telling me, you don't have to be embarrassed about this. And in my mind, I'm like, are you serious? People are embarrassed about this? Taking medication to keep yourself sane. Honestly, I'm not embarrassed about it whatsoever. I will tell people in open arms that I take medication for my depression. Because I don't want to hide it. Depression has easily been the hardest thing I've ever faced in my life. Period. Like, it's scary to think how hard that depression was. If I didn't have a loving family or friends, I would be dead. 100%. And that's terrifying to think about. I don't want anybody else to feel the same things I did. Because even if mine wasn't the worst it could be, it still felt overwhelming. It took my life. Depression took my life. Even if it didn't mean death. It's serious. You have to talk to somebody about it. Like, even though it feels like it's helping at times to lay in bed, which it can be, at times, you have to get up. You have to talk to your friends. Get yourself to do something. Otherwise, it will consume you. It's like a blanket wrapping around you, except once it's around you, you can't get up. There's nothing you can do. Don't let it get to that point. You have to keep moving. Keep yourself up. Eat right. Eat right. Oh my gosh. When you're depressed, I know a lot of the time, for a lot of people, especially me, you don't want to eat. You're not hungry, So, I completely understand that. Find ways to eat. Or, when you do eat right. Don't eat like shit. Because if you put shit into your body, you know what you get? Shit. If you put good things into your body constantly on a good diet, it will improve. I've been through really fucking hard depression. And I'm telling you this because it's true. Same thing with working out. Even if it's not like, bodybuilding or shit like that. You could just go on a run. You could just keep yourself fit, really. That helps. Oh my gosh. While I was depressed, after a workout was probably the happiest I would be for days. If I hadn't worked out after that. It really does. See, when you work out, it releases a hormone called dopamine, which basically is the fancy word for happy. Dopamine is what makes you feel good. When you snort cocaine, you're just giving your neurotransmitters loads of dopamine at once. That's why they feel so happy, get that cocaine high. But it doesn't last long. When you work out, when you take care of your body, that kind of starts to get the dopamine running again. Because a lot of the time, hereditary depression that's like in your genes is something wrong with those receptors that's not making enough dopamine. A lot of the time is what it is. If you're depressed because of something that happened in real life, you need to talk about it. You need to get it off your chest. You need to make sure you're being active, taking care of yourself. Because the more you worsen yourself while you're depressed, you're basically just extending your time limit, is what it is. And that's hard to come over. That's going from stepping up a staircase to jumping over a mountain. It's not easy, but you know what? There are people who fucking scaled Mount Everest. You can get over that mountain, okay? I have 100% faith in you if you just make the right choices. And when you're depressed, this is the hardest thing to do, is getting over it, talking about it. I remember days I'd wake up and the first thought in my mind was, how busy is the traffic today? I wasn't concerned of, how's my breath smell? What do my teeth look like? Is my hair looking great? I was just an empty husk. I'd get up. No, I wouldn't get up. I'd sit there for about 30 minutes because I could not get up. I physically just couldn't until eventually my anxiety would kick in of my dad getting mad, and that got me up. And I'd take my shower. I'd maybe look at myself in the mirror a little bit, then recoil, maybe fix up my hair a little bit so it doesn't look that bad. And then I'd go eat breakfast, which was, I'd get halfway through it and be like, okay, I'm full. Or I'd just ask my dad not to make me a lot, or any. Then I'd go to school, and the only time of my day I'd actually be really happy was talking to my friends, Dalton and Carlos. And I'd talk to them, and during that lunch period or passing period, I'd be happy, I don't know if I'd describe it as, I was pretty happy inside somewhere in me, but it was just distracting from the emptiness is what it was. It was like a high. And then I'd go to class, empty. When I say empty, I don't mean, you don't feel anything, so why do you feel bad? Empty is in, there's nothing there. It's like a void. And your first instinct is, I want to fill it. But there is nothing you can do. You can't fill it, is the thing. No matter what you do, you won't fill it. And that is what you live with all day. It is just, it's awful. It's like if you were starving hungry and you just kept eating and eating, but it's like it went right through you because you would not fill up at all. You just stay hungry and tired and you don't want to talk. And every time you smile, it just hurts. It just hurts your heart to smile when you're not genuinely smiling. It's awful. And people never talk about it. Same thing as anxiety. That's a completely different boat. I had a little anxiety, but it wasn't enough to distract me from the depression. Hard anxiety is just as bad. Both of those are awful, and I feel like they need to be talked about more. I feel like every time I get on this fucking mic to do a talking with Face, I talk about this, but it's just important to me. This is my way of getting to talk about this, really. Is what this can come down to. Is because I don't get to talk about this to anybody. I just keep these memories in my mind that I think about every now and again. That's why I love this. I'm looking at a microphone. I'm in a dark closet looking at a box and a microphone, yet I feel like I'm talking to somebody who cares enough to listen. Because I'm a good bit into this. If you're listening now, then I thank you. It's nice to talk. I feel like this is my way of talking about the things that I can't talk to other people. Not yet. At least. I appreciate getting to do this. This is why talking can help so much. Because this makes me feel good. Talking about your issues can help the issue. And you know what? Things won't always be bad. I didn't like hearing that when I was depressed, but near the end of it, I came to love that saying. Because if you can believe that things won't always be bad, then things won't always be bad. If you look at it as in, well, what if things stay bad? Then you know what? Things will probably stay bad. That's an important life lesson that I had to learn. Was, if you look for the worst in things, you get the worst in things. If you look for the best, you might get something good. Honestly, one of my favorite quotes is, everything will be all right in the end. And if things aren't all right, then it is in the end. Just keep that in your mind. You know? Even if you weren't depressed at all, you know? Just keep that in your mind still. Strive to be the best you can be just because. You know? Go out there and prove yourself wrong in something that you thought you couldn't do. Oh, I'd never been able to do a pull-up. You know? Go work out. Go do something to prove yourself wrong. And then when you do that pull-up, it's like a whole nother world, because what have you just unlocked now? What can I do next? You know, set goals for yourself. Keep yourself active and involved. Keep your priorities right, your goals, your people. Keep your friends and family in your life. Okay? There is never going to be something that will make you feel better than friends and family. Because love really does rule over everything. Whether it's a relationship or a friendship, it can rule over everything. A lot of the issues I used to have was I feel lonely. And I still have those issues too. And I know a lot of people out there do too. Where they feel lonely and they feel like they have to have somebody to be happy. What I had to realize for myself, because this can't be taught. You won't learn this from hearing me say it. Is there's all different kinds of love. And all of them can make you feel amazing. When I broke up with my ex, actually, for everybody, really, you feel like it's the end. You know, like, how am I going to find somebody? Or some people, I need somebody now. Like, I feel lonely. I'm depressed. I hate this. I need somebody in my life to love me. I used to be that way a lot. Until it came down to it, and really, I got my two best friends I've ever had in my life. The people who have done more than all of my girlfriends combined in a year. In a year. Now that is fucking love. Like, I grew to be content with not dating somebody always because I'm waiting for the right person. Because I'm better than going out and finding some slob on the street that I feel like is within my range, which is in my head. Really, nobody has ranges. Okay? You can't put a 10 on a girl because that girl can be a fucking psychopath. And that puts her down to a 0, really. Maybe a 1 if she's hot. But don't put yourself on levels, because the only levels are the ones that are coherently noticeable are the ones you are on because you're above it. The people who are just going to drag you down in life, and you date them because you feel like you can't date anybody else. You know, there's a really pretty girl in your Spanish class, but you're too nervous to go talk to her because you don't feel like she'd like you because you don't look as good. So you're going to go date the other girl who is known to be a bad person to you, but at least you know you can date her. You need to just learn for yourself that you're probably 5 times as good as you think you are. Unless you're a narcissist, then chill the fuck out. Keep yourself humble. Realize your mistakes and realize your good sides. It's not just mistakes always. Don't put yourself down constantly. Realize where you're good. You know? That was tough for me, man. I'm still learning that a lot. My self-esteem is only going up at this point because I was that low. I realize now that, you know, I do have my moments where I'm actually pretty funny. I'm a great guy to talk to. You know, I'm actually not a bad-looking guy. There's so many things out there I'd never look at. I'd only look at my bad sides, like, oh, you know, I'm only 5'6", I'm kind of short, you know, like, fuck, my nose is a little big, which probably, it's not even probably that big. You just look at it and you want to put yourself down for something. It's things like that, You know, notice your good sides, even if it's a small thing. Notice the small things. Fuck. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do, is notice the small things. The small things in life. If you gather up all the small things, it makes a fucking huge thing in the end. If you just look at the huge things, never the small things, you know what's going to happen to the huge thing, and eventually is it's going to come crashing down. That is a major life lesson that should be learned. Because the small things are some of the best things sometimes. Like if you, I don't know, what's an example? You know, you're dating a girl who's really shy. You know, like all the other kids who are making out in the hallways and all that. Probably makes her feel bad that she's not doing that for you. Those little moments where she smiles and looks at you, or she blushes when you say something, or, I don't know, gives you a slight compliment because she can't say it directly. Those are the things you gotta realize and understand where they're coming from the heart. Because the small things just make things better with a good attitude. If you go into something with a good attitude, it's very likely you'll come out of it with it. If you go into it with a bad attitude, you're just gonna make drama. You know? Man. I just sat you down on my knee and told you about life and shit. Holy crap. Oh, how are you guys doing? It's probably around 9 o'clock now. It's really hot in this closet. Throat's a little dry. I haven't talked this much in a while. Man. But really, from listening to this, if you can get anything out of it, great. Because life is, it's just starting, really, if you're my age. I'm 16. If you're around there, your life hasn't even started yet. Until you get out of high school or college, things are going to change so much, and you got to be ready. This is the side of me I wish, my insides. This is me. I'm talking from my heart, and that is the most outstanding thing to me. I'm speaking from my heart. I never get to do this correctly because I'm too nervous. One of the things I wish my dad could hear is me. This is who I am. I just really wish he could hear me talk like this, because this is who I am. This is how I think. I'm not a pessimist. I'm getting over that. I'm trying to be the best person that I could be. And it's because of him, really. Sure, I mean, I learned a lot of stuff on my own, but he's helped me through so much. And I know one of his main goals is just make me the best person I can be and be ready for the world. I just wish he could. I wish I could show him. You know? Ah, man. Anyway. I think I'm gonna call it for this one. It's getting kind of hot in here. So, honestly, thank you for listening to this, if you have. Yeah. Just, ponder what I said. It's good things to think about. Try to be the best person you can be, And I'll see you in the next one.